It's good to be up here. Now, I want to start off by asking you all a question. Who likes to get everything right in their business? Yep. Okay. Who likes things just so and likes to get it perfect? Right. No? Okay. Now, I want to say that we live in a universe where absolutely nothing is perfect. It's an entropic universe where even if it starts off perfect, it goes to imperfection. You look at a flower, it starts off amazing, it dies. So the purpose of my talk is perfection is overrated and what you focus on, you achieve. So I want to start off by telling you a story. And I would describe myself as an accidental entrepreneur or a business owner. I wasn't the type of person that either dreamt of being an auditor. No one does that. Ever, because I'm not a picky, pedantic person. And I didn't dream about having a business. In fact, I was quite against having a business because I grew up, we come from the UK originally, and my parents had small all-purpose stores, including, post offices and so forth. So they worked really long hours. They made money, but they didn't make a huge amount of money. And I remember as a child missing out on a lot of time with my parents, and I looked at their view of having a business, and I didn't want what they were having ever. In fact, quite the opposite. So I grew up quite opposed to having a business. And my parents, when they got out of business, maybe when I was 9 or 10, they went into safe government jobs. And their mantra to us was, if you have a safe government job, you'll be fine. So guess what we did? We went and got safe government jobs. Dying on the inside, but we had the safe government jobs. So when I was married, I remember my ex-husband saying to me, let's do a business. I'm like, are you joking? Do you know how hard you have to work to do that? He had the dream that it would be easy and, less work. And I'm like, no, you haven't seen the other side. There's no way I want to do that. Then after 21 years of marriage, I left my husband and I was single. And, around that time, I must have heard someone say, well, if you're ever going to do a business, do something you love. And I'm like, foreign concept, love, business, they're really opposed, So I kind of found the single world is so different. Like, I got married in 1986. Fast forward to, 2011 it was. It is a totally different world. You have terms like benching, which is you put someone on the bench out of play, and if this team doesn't work out, you bring them back in. You have ghosting, whereas you don't break up with someone, you just stop talking to them. Then you have breadcrumbing, where you just give them a crumb and keep them around.
Is this for any age group?
Yes, for any age group.
So it's pretty true.
And then you've got orbiting as the latest one, where you ghost someone, but you like their posts on social media. And you're in their orbit, but you don't have to talk to them. So the world has significantly changed, and I often wonder if someone from the 80s got transported to today that they wouldn't know what the hell to do, right? Because the world has changed so much. Yes, it's so different. So, that's where I came in. And look, after being married for so long, to be honest, I love choosing what packet of biscuits I could buy. And if I wanted to go travel, I could do it, because I was married to a controlling policeman where I couldn't buy what biscuits I want. So freedom was the most important thing. But I had some friends that go, come speed dating with me. And I'm like, okay. And, a lot of people think speed dating's a bit naff and why would you do it? But it's one of the best events. I can't recommend it enough. You get to talk to people over wine and food. Some of my favourite things. So I went to some of these events, and I remember looking thinking, I could do this. I could do it better than them, which is a little bit arrogant, really, to think that I could. And, I probably talked about it enough. And for anyone that would know me, I'm a Gemini, so I talk about things often enough that I think I've done them. I do that with exercise. I never get round to it, but I feel like I've achieved it. So when I came to, I kind of talked about it. I drove my family nuts, my kids nuts, and my friends nuts. And I remember after work one day, I went to drinks at the bar next door, and someone knew the bar owner. So we talked to the bar owner, and I said, how is it running a bar? It must be fun. So he was telling us his story, and I said, I've always wanted to start a speed dating business. which is really opposed when I never wanted to be a business owner. So I'm not sure how that worked. And he goes, well, why don't you start it here? So then I'd run into him from time to time and he goes, well, Deb, are you going to do that? And I'm just like, oh, yeah, whatever. And then he rang me and he goes, why don't we do Perth's biggest speed dating? Why don't we get 100 people? And I kind of go, oh, what have I got to lose? I just need a website and 100 people. How hard could that be? Little did I know. So I had this goal in mind that that's what I was going to do. So within 2 months, I had to get a website, I had to get 100 people and systems in place to run a big event. With no event management, bear in mind, I'm an auditor, okay? So I had two things in mind at that time. One is I wanted to be on radio, and one is I wanted to have 100 people. So what I did is I kind of sent all the radio stations an email, and I didn't hear back. That's not unusual, okay? And it got to the Monday of my event and the events on Saturday. I had 30 people. Not even numbers of sexes or even numbers of age. So I go, oh my God, what was I thinking? And at that point, I had a memory come back from when I was 8 or 9, and I'd watched this show on TV about a doll's hospital. And I was just like, oh, that would be cool. Let me create a doll's hospital. So I went about, my brother did some posters. We put them around the school. I made all these cute beds with some sheets for these dolls. Opening night, no one bought their dolls. Why would they? I couldn't fix them. I had no concept of what I was doing. But I was so bitterly disappointed that I put myself out there and it failed. So, here I'm going to run this event and that memory comes back to me and I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's just like that. What was I thinking? But I had a choice at that point. Do I focus on, memories of failure, or do I focus on what I want? So I continued to focus on what I wanted. And I got a call from the radio station on the Monday and they talked to me and they go, oh, you would be great. Come talk on Drive Radio for 94.5 and we'll send Shane McFarlane to your opening event. So I went in and my bookings overnight went from 30 to 100, just like I'd imagined. And was the event perfect? Absolutely not. If I'd have waited to be perfect, I wouldn't have done anything. I would have just been stuck, trying to get my website sorted, trying to get it done. And what I found is some of the best memories and some of the best learning experiences came from getting out there and taking gutsy action to do something. And what I focused on, I achieved. There was disasters on that night. There was a storm. It was in July in Perth, and there was water coming through the roof. Perth people don't like going out when it rains. But they all came, so it was lucky. But I think I remember on the Saturday I was short a couple of people, so I was walking down Beaufort Street trying to talk to people saying, are you single?
Did you get anyone?
I did. But then what happened is people complained and they go, you drag people off the street. I'm like, would you prefer to talk to no one or would you prefer me to get a single person off the street? So I got feedback, and bear in mind I had a radio personality there. My business could have failed before it started by not going well. So there's water pouring in through the roof. The PA couldn't be heard above the rain and the thunderstorms. But we managed it. I had a group of people helping me, and we managed the radio guy, and then Shane the next day talked on radio and said great things about us, despite things going wrong. I had relationships come from that first event, friendships where people are still friends now. But if I'd been hung up on perfection, I'd have done nothing. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in having it right and also listening to people. So when I was saying that I had this idea, especially to my mum, what do you think she told me? Yeah, don't be silly, don't do it. Stay with your safe government job. What are you thinking? Why are you doing this? So sometimes the people closest to us won't be our best supporters. But, my mum's experience of business was hard work and pain. Mine hasn't been. Mine, I'm absolutely doing what I love, making a difference to the single people of Perth. So don't listen to what those people say to you when you try and start something. And don't listen to your own stories of failure. Some of the things that I learned from that experience is, okay, my first website was pretty crap, but it did what it needed to do, and I got better as I went. The other thing is being passionate about what I do. Other businesses in this space have come and gone. Nowadays, we make what we do look really easy. and people come, oh, I can do that, which is exactly what I did. But they don't last the time because it takes a passion to do what you're doing and to not give up on what you're doing. And so, you know, you learn as you go. The other thing that I'd say is be innovative. If you look at businesses like Uber and Airbnb, they don't have any premises. They don't have any traditional business. Things are changing. So it doesn't have to be the bricks and mortar business that my parents had. It can be different. So think outside of the square, be brave, take that gutsy action and dream something. Don't get hung up on being perfect. and again, don't worry, focus on what you want. Have a plan, but don't be hung up on it being perfect. So my plan was 100 people at an opening event, and I achieved it. You know, did it go exactly how I wanted it? No. Did I even know what I was doing? Absolutely not. And I sometimes think I was quite arrogant to think that I could do it, but I did it. And I would also say don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome. I know that in my journey, so I started off doing speed dating and I found I could introduce people, but that was just one step. They found a million ways to F it up, okay? So, you know, I kind of went down the journey of becoming a life coach, NLP, NBIT, because I wanted the skills to help people. And I went to JR's talk on Wednesday night on the 5 love languages. It was brilliant. And I like what I forget the girl's name, the wellness expert. Chelsea, she was beautiful. Anyway, she was talking about how different it was to be single in America. You know, people will talk to each other. How different it's to be single in England. People will talk to each other a lot more. Perth is really cliquey. And that's half of the reason I did what I did, because people say it's the hardest place in the world to be single. And if you go, guys, if they go talk to a girl in a bar, they'll often be told to F off by the girl. You know, there's a lot of that skills missing. So I found that I started with this and I've come to here. So I still do the events, but I spend a lot of time helping singles find the love that they want. And some of it is through the love languages. You know, you give someone not what you want, but what they want. And I absolutely found that it is possible to do what I love. And yeah, so don't get hung up on perfection and you'll be good.